feel like I'm going to make a lot of people mad with this video. Hello, people of Earth and beyond. A warm welcome to all of my Lunar friends out there. I removed all the mirrors just for you. Today, I read Cinder, and this is going to be my review of it. For those of you who don't know, Cinder is a futuristic retelling of the Cinderella story, with our Cinderella character being a cyborg, and it is the first book in the much beloved Lunar Chronicles. So I heard about this book when it first came out, and that was 7 years ago. I was intrigued by it, but not particularly interested in reading it. But in the past year or so, I've started following a lot of booktubers, and most of the ones I've seen seem to really love this series. So when I was at the library and saw Cinder on the shelf, I decided to pick it up and give it a try. And the librarian told me that I was going to love it. Now, I have to admit, I am not a big fan of the Cinderella concept. There are only 2 Cinderella stories that I've ever really taken a liking to, and those are Ever After, which is a movie that stars Drew Barrymore, and Just Ella, which is a book by Margaret Peterson Haddix. So going into Cinder, I didn't expect too much out of the twist on the Cinderella story, but I did have pretty high expectations for it just because everyone seems to love it so much. And I was disappointed. If you don't want spoilers, why are you even still here? But to put it bluntly, I didn't think it was anything special. The writing was fine, the plot was fine, none of it blew my mind. Okay, before I really start talking about this book, I have to reinforce this. This is my opinion. If you love this series, then good for you. I'm glad. I'm not trying to rain on your parade. I'm not trying to be mad at you for liking this series. We can like different things. But I just noticed some things that I didn't particularly like and didn't feel a particular attachment to this book. So I'm sorry. Please just respect that this is my opinion. Now, there are a few aspects of Marissa Meyer's story, that's the author, by the way, I forgot to mention that. There are a few aspects of her take on the Cinderella story that I really like, and if you're up for spoilers, I'm going to talk about them. First off, I really like the idea of Cinder being a mechanic. It gives her kind of a tomboy attitude right from the get-go, and gives her just a little bit of a personality. It gives her an identity outside of being a cyborg. It gives her something that she actually does use throughout the story, and it shows that she's not really afraid to get her hands dirty, which is something I like in a protagonist. I meant that metaphorically, but in her case it's also literal. Next, I really like Peony. Well, kind of. I don't really like her as a character or as a person, but I like her as an archetype. Peony is one of the evil stepsisters, except that she's not evil. She's maybe sometimes a little insensitive, but she's genuinely a kinda-ish good person, and she is Cinder's only human friend. She's not the most empathetic character. However, I like the fact that Cinder isn't totally alone, and I like that Peony tries. I like the archetype of the friend who is far from perfect, but at least tries to be nice to the other friend who has it worse than them. It's not really the best or healthiest friendship, however, I think it's interesting to read about. I also have to admit that I actually liked the fact that Peony was killed off, simply because it was a pretty gutsy move and it was a departure from anything I've ever seen or read in a Cinderella story before. I like Aiko, the droid. I think she's adorable. And I like Kai. I mean, I think he's okay. He's not brilliant, but he's okay. I guess I just like the fact that the love interest is a nice guy. And I do like the fact that it ended not with Cinder and the prince being together, but with her running away. Like, it was a different ending than I would have expected from a Cinderella story, and I really appreciated that. But that's going to be about it for things that I can point out that I really liked. The rest of it was either just okay or I didn't like. Can I just talk about Levana and get her out of the way? Okay, thanks. Yeah, she's a pretty cartoonish villain. I don't like her as a villain. I just think she's kind of lame. Dr. Erland, who is our fairy godmother character, I don't like him. I understand everything he does, like, once he starts explaining, but I don't like him as a human being. I don't know, he just seems like not the nicest person. I don't like him at all. Anyway, moving on. I thought that the foreshadowing was just pretty obvious. Like, I knew that it was a Cinderella story going in, but there were certain things that were just placed there and you knew how they were going to come up later. For example, as soon as Aiko saved Peony's dress, I realized, oh, somehow Cinder's going to wear that to the ball. When they described the car as looking like a rotting pumpkin, I was like, that sounds a lot like a pumpkin carriage. Plot twist did not really blow my mind. Insta-love, or the instant attraction between Kai and Cinder, really didn't like it. Just, okay, I'm not a romance person, okay? I can deal with it in books. I don't ever like it to be the main focus. Even if it's a cute romance, I'm never gonna be a fan of that, okay? I'm sorry. Just, I think that Kai and Cinder could have been friends for most of it and it would have been fine. I mean, they were kind of friends, but there was always that underlying, oh my gosh, he's so cute thing that really made me roll my eyes. And other than Cinder being easy to talk to, Kai never really gives a reason for why he continues to be interested in her other than her fixing his android. Like, and the ball scene. Ooh, I hated it. I will admit the one time I actually laughed during this book was when, you know, she enters the ballroom and the servant's like, oh, I'll announce you, when she knows that she looks like a train wreck and she's like trying to stop him. I laughed at that. And I kind of appreciate the twist on Cinderella. Like, in the original story, she's supposed to be the most beautiful there, and in this version, she, like I said, looks like a train wreck, and she knows it, and it's... I appreciate that. However, the entire scene just made me cringe. Like, the walking to the prince and Adri and Pearl interrupting them, and the dancing with the prince, and the confrontation with Levana later on. I cringed the whole way. And I really feel like Cinder should have told him she was a cyborg earlier. I know that it would be difficult, but I feel like it would have taken a lot of tension off of that ball scene where, you know, he's finding out she's lunar and a cyborg. Yeah, he would have trusted you earlier if you'd told him at least one of those. So now that it sounds like I've hated on a bunch of people's favorite series, let's talk about what I actually thought about this entire book. Believe it or not, I actually didn't think it was bad. Yeah, there are some things that I didn't like too much, but as I was reading it, I was okay with it. I didn't see the story as problematic in any way. I didn't think the writing was exceptional, but I mean, hey, when this came out, it was being pitched at a middle school audience, so that might have been why. It wasn't too much of a twist on Cinderella, but I mean, it was interesting enough, it was different enough, and there were some things that I have not seen done in a Cinderella story before. Overall, I just found it to be mediocre. So why am I so disappointed in it? Honestly, it's because I had such high expectations. This book was overhyped for me. I've seen so many people say they loved it. The librarian told me I would love it, and I guess when someone who works with books all day, whose job is to read books and know about books, tells you you're going to love a certain book, you think you're gonna love it. And I didn't love it. I liked it, I just didn't love it. I really failed to connect with any of the characters. I thought that they were just okay. I would not cry over any of them. And so for me, it's difficult to see why everyone else loves this series so much. And I know that I've only read the first book. Potentially, Levana could get less cartoonish as the series goes on. Cinder could have more of a personality as the series goes on. It could blow my mind. I could be persuaded to read the rest of the series, and maybe I would really like it. However, as it stands right now, I didn't enjoy Cinder enough to really want to go on. I really didn't intend this video to be a hate video. I realized as I was making it, there were more things I disliked about the book than I realized as I was reading it. But again, if you love this series, good for you. Should I continue to give it a try? I'm really just trying to understand why it is so beloved and trying to kind of spark a conversation. So if you think I should give this series another try, let me know in the comments or give this video a thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't know. Do what you want. But if you want to see more videos like this, give this video a thumbs up. And if enough people tell me that I should pick up the second book in the Lunar Chronicles, I will do so. Until then, thanks for watching, and see you next week.